Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett was the original UFC 324 main event. Well, that is according to the most hated guy on the UFC's roster in Arman Tsarukyan, who's just done an interview with ESPN where he says that the UFC's original plan was to book Paddy versus Ilia in January. That makes sense. He also goes on to say that he thinks the UFC's game plan is to make Paddy Pimblett a bigger star and that Ilia doesn't have family issues. I don't agree with that personally. Paddy is already one of the biggest names right now in the UFC. Arman also says that he could beat everybody. Paddy's easy work, Justin's easy work, Ilia is easy work. He says Islam is hard work, but he left. One key name he missed out there. Yo, is Arman ducking Max Holloway? Conspiracy theory. But let's talk about Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Now, this right here was a last minute put together fight in my opinion. This was definitely not something that the UFC had really considered at any point in my opinion. I think this was literally put together very last minute. Like, this fight was probably put together 50 seconds before Dana White came on to make that announcement, because all the rumours were that Paddy was going to be fighting Topuria. Paddy was constantly on social media saying sign the contract to Topuria. When you seen Paddy and Ilia in Qatar, Paddy was telling them to sign the contract there. So it seemed like that there was the UFC's actual plan, Ilia versus Paddy, which, so you've got two of the biggest names ever in European MMA, and you're going to have them fight for the title in the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Let's get this fight in Spain. It's not rocket science what we're doing here. Let's use this here, please. It's the same shit with Israel Adesanya versus DDP. That shit fucking gets to me. You had the perfect opportunity to go to Africa, and then you take that fight to Australia. Anyway, this is the fight we're getting now. A lot of people don't like it. Is it the most undeserving title fight in UFC history? Quite possibly. Based off merit, it should be Arman versus Max. We know what Max is doing next. We know what Arman's doing next, probably the PFL. But I can't hate on this fight too much. I like it. I think stylistically it's going to be a fun fight. I think Paddy Pimblett smokes Justin Gaethje, by the way, but I will talk about that in a separate video. But this was definitely a last-minute put-together fight. This was definitely not what the UFC had originally planned at all. This fight was probably not even on their radar. Now, in the interview as well, Arman Tsarukyan says, I hope they give me the BMF title at least. Yo, Arman. Nice to meet you. Take a seat, man. Take a seat. Let's have a chat, Arman. You probably have more of a chance of fighting for the undisputed heavyweight title than you do for the BMF belt. You will never fight for the BMF title. I have more of a chance of fighting for the UFC's BMF title than Arman Tsarukyan does. You are never getting that fight ever. You're never going to fight for that belt at all. What is Arman going to do next? I'm going to talk about that quickly. I think Arman should move up. Now, a lot of people are going to say he's too small. He's 5'7". I get that. But if he waits at lightweight, what actually is he going to do? Because when Max Holloway beats Charles Oliveira, which we know is going to happen next, Max Holloway isn't going to fight Arman after that. He's going to want to fight for the belt. When Paddy beats Justin Gaethje, it's been confirmed that Paddy, or whoever wins that, Gaethje or Paddy, will be fighting Ilia Topuria when Topuria comes back. So it's not as if Arman's getting a title fight then. So that will put Paddy or Gaethje above him. When Max beats Oliveira, the UFC will definitely put Max above him as well. So what else is there for Arman Tsarukyan to do in the lightweight division? You are not going to be able to fight for the belt anytime soon. You're 29 years of age. You're young. He's got a style that I think would translate pretty well up into the welterweight division. He'll definitely carry up that lighter man skill. I think he can have a lot of success in the welterweight division. Now, obviously, whenever you look at the likes of Michael Morales and a guy who really should be fighting at fucking heavyweight, there are issues there. But I really don't see what is left for Arman. He can't move down to featherweight. He's too big. Lightweight, it seems like he does already struggle to kind of make weight for that division anyway. So just move up. What is the point in wasting any more time at lightweight? Who does he fight anyway? Does he fight the winner of... does he fight Benoit Saint-Denis now? Is that what they do? Do they have Arman look all the way down the rankings to someone like Benoit Saint-Denis? He can't fight a Moicano. He's not going to get a Chandler fight. Chandler, I don't even know how that guy's still ranked. So what else is there? Does he fight the loser of Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira? I can't imagine whoever loses that fight is going to be any active, really. When Gaethje loses to Pimlet, Gaethje's going to retire, so that fight isn't going to be available. So what is there for Arman to do at lightweight? I think he has to move up. Even if he moves up and takes like 2 fights at welterweight and then maybe drops back down, I don't know. I just don't see what there is for Arman at lightweight. The thing with Arman is, though, he can wait out because he isn't relying on money. This guy is wealthy. His family's wealthy. That's the thing with Arman. So he can afford to have inactivity because it's not like he needs to fight to keep the lights on. He already has money. So maybe he might just wait it out. I don't know. But would the UFC even reward him if he waits it out that long? I'm not too sure. I think Arman should move up, in my opinion. At least give it a go. And also, just before we talk about this, he has the history with Islam. So if Islam has the belt, say Arman moves up and gets like 2 wins against top 10 ranked welterweights, which I think is very possible for him to do. There's that path for the Islam matchup. You might jump a few spots over other people because you have the history with Islam. But let's talk about this as well. We all know what's next for Max Holloway and Oliveira. It's the BMF title fight. It's going to happen. But the Brazilian UFC page reported that the UFC were looking to have Max Holloway versus Oliveira BMF title fight on UFC 324. Now, when I looked into this and read other reports, apparently this was actually one of the main events the UFC had discussed. So this actually could have headlined that event. I'm glad they didn't have the first numbered event on Paramount headlined by the BMF title. Yes, Max Holloway and Oliveira is going to be a fun fight. They're both really big names, but having a gimmicky belt like that headline your first show, I know you've got an interim title fight. You don't have an undisputed title fight in the main event, but the BMF belt, that's real gimmicky. That's like WWE type shit, in my opinion. But I think they're going to do Max Holloway Oliveira main event in March. I think they might do that as the March main event. Really, I do. Because I don't really know, when you look at other divisions, like, is Pereira going to stay at light heavyweight? He keeps talking about Jones. I don't think Pereira is going to stay as active as what he once was. I don't think he's going to have that active run. So what do they do then? If Pereira isn't going to fight, then they're probably going to do an interim title fight. They might throw that on in February then. Oberg versus Yuri for the interim title is the co-main to Volkanovski Lopez 2 to build up that card. That would make sense. So I feel like Max Holloway Oliveira is definitely going to main event the card. It just depends on what card they do. But I definitely think March is going to be where we see Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. Realistically, it's kind of like their first fight though, because their fight at featherweight, Oliveira done his best work at lightweight. It was a weird ending. He had like an esophagus injury. That's what Charles Oliveira had in that matchup. So it's kind of like, it's just a completely fresh matchup. It's not even really like a rematch, to be honest. But yeah, a lot of shit going on in the lightweight division. The lightweight division is a mess right now, in my opinion. But that's what I would do if I was Arman Tsarukyan. If I'm Arman, I'm moving weight classes. I don't see the point in staying. But let me know what you think Arman should do in the comments below. Do you like Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje? And who do you think wins? Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira? Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you all again in the next one.